Welcome to Android Authority on Air, the original Hangout show for Android on Google+. I'm Derek Ross.
And I'm Scott Anderson.
This week, we're joined by returning guest Dan Charlton of Teemit. Dan, thanks for coming again as usual. We appreciate it.
It's nice to be here.
All right, so Scott, we had a hurricane this week, but you know what? We still have a whole lot of Android to talk about, don't we? So what's on the show?
Yeah, we got Google actually just released October Android ecosystem numbers. We're going to go over that to begin with. Then we're going to be going over some app updates, some major app updates, and then we're going to do some more information about Nexus devices. We're going to have some little rants about Nexus 4 not having LTE, things like that. Then we're going to be going over Jelly Bean 4.2 features and kind of what has leaked and what has been said about all the different type of features. And then we're going to wrap up with Patent Wars, which is Dan's favorite section.
All right, so let's just get started talking about some Android ecosystem numbers before we get into the ultimate Android all the things segment of the show here. So just very, very recently, it's the beginning of a new month, and another month has passed, so we get numbers from Google on exactly how widespread Android is in terms of their distribution version numbers. And Jelly Bean is still climbing, growing very, very slowly, but it is growing. We're at 2.7% right now. Ice Cream Sandwich, Ice Cream Sandwich is now a year old, and it's sitting there at about just under 30%. So that's nice, but unfortunately, Gingerbread still rocks 54% of the Android ecosystem. So that's a shame, in my opinion, since it's so old and so many things have been improved upon. But hey, 3% for Jelly Bean and year-old Ice Cream Sandwich is about 29%. So let's talk about what's that, Scott?
Slowly getting there.
Yeah, slowly. Yeah, it's slowly getting there. All right, so let's talk about the Android ecosystem here a little bit. Play Music continues to grow. Google keeps continuing to grow the Play content, the Play Store, and now they have every major record label on board. This past week, they added Warner Brothers content. So anybody that was under contract with Warner Brothers, those music groups are now available through the Play Store, or will be added shortly, and that's great. And speaking of music, just today, a little bit ago, Music Explorer launched, and that's just a music discovery tool. It's actually pretty cool. If you have an Android tablet, you should check it out. It's not available for your phone. I'm guessing that's because there's a lot going on, and maybe it's hard to view on your phone. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. So what you do is you open up the Play Store, and you search for an artist. Once you find that artist, maybe it's one you already have, you find them and you select the artist, and you see a couple little spheres, a couple little circles. You tap on those, and you start exploring similar artists. From there, you can explore similar artists, similar bands, similar singers, and so forth. And it's like a spider web. It keeps going and going and going from one artist to the next, the next, the next, the next, and eventually, I'm sure you'll find something that's pretty interesting. Also, whenever you first view a new artist, the music starts playing right away. So, for example, I chose Dead Maw 5, however you want to say it. Everybody says it differently. I chose them a little bit ago for an example. I opened up Explore Similar Artists, and it showed Nero as a similar artist. So I tapped on Nero, and boom, one of their songs started playing, and then the next similar artist I tapped on, and that song started playing. And then you can select that song, then it takes you back to the Play Store, and you have the option to buy it then. So it's just a neat way to find new music, and I like it. And getting file matching is actually coming to Europe here in the very near future, and then soon in the U.S. I'm actually not very sure what that actually means. Dan or Scott, do you know a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's a sort of a process by which right now they just store your music, all of it is stored in some separate individual storage just for you. Then everybody else's music is in some other individual piece of storage. This will allow them to basically have one master copy of every song that everybody just gets their own streamed to them when they want it. So when you're uploading your content to Google Music for the first time, everything that's also in its databases, it's just going to file match and give you a copy of its version, which is going to probably be a higher quality than whatever you happen to have. And it also means that like you don't actually have to do all of that uploading transfer. So then you don't have to do all of that downloading transfer when you try and match them back up on the other end. So it's a way for them to cut down on the amount of storage it takes for them to do it. It's also worth noting that they're giving this away for free, and both Apple and Amazon charge, I think it's monthly or annual fees, to get access to their file matching features.
Well, very good to know. So Scott, what do we got for app updates this week?
We got just today, Chrome for Android got updated. Personally, I see that there's a little bit of a speed improvement, and the release said that there was speed improvement and some bug fixes, things like that. Basic update, nothing too snazzy. Then we got an update to Field Trip. Derek, you want to go into detail about that?
Well, I actually stopped using Field Trip because I felt that it was killing my battery. Now, I know Dan had better experiences with Field Trip, so he actually kept it around longer than I did. I used it for about a week when it came out a few weeks back, and it's definitely a neat concept. Field Trip allows you to find things to do locally where you're at now. So if you're I don't know, you're visiting an area and you walk by a museum and it says, hey, here's this exhibit at this museum, check it out. It allows you to plan events, or helps you plan events and helps you see different things when you're visiting a new area. I mean, obviously, locally it wouldn't be that interesting because chances are you know everything that's going on locally, but unless you live in a big city, unless you live in the middle of nowhere like me where nothing ever happens, so I know exactly what's going on here. So it's not too useful for me, but if I go on vacation somewhere, yeah, I'm sure it's pretty cool. But so Dan, did you actually update Field Trip this week?
I got the update, but to be honest, I don't really use the application. It's just sort of there.
It's there.
Popping up things at me at random times when I don't really care about them.
I mean, there were some minor updates. It was just improved application settings, which some of the settings were lacking before. It fixed some crashes on the Motorola Zoom, and just also had some other bug fixes. So, I mean, it wasn't really that big of an update.
So you know what? I'm curious. Since it's still a fairly new app, and I'm trying to find actual uses for it. So if you're watching right now on either YouTube or Google Plus, let us know if you use Field Trip, if you've actually used it to what it was intended for, besides just installing it to see what it was about. Is pretty much what I did. Let us know, and we'll revisit that here in a little bit.
Next, we got Google Earth. Google Earth today got an update. Basically, just bug fixes. Have you guys noticed anything really big with the update?
Yeah, I just saw bug fixes, opened it up,
Yeah.
spun around, looked at a few things, just trying to see if there's anything new. I was wondering if there was going to be any type of integration, because Maps was updated this past week for Android 4.2, and more specifically, Google Now actually was updated for better integration with that. But those are some app updates we can talk about as well.
Yeah, and then another app update, long time coming. It's been a while since this app and got updated, but ADW Launcher got updated with a massive overhaul. And
yeah, that ADW Launcher used to be extremely popular, and then I'm going to say, Ice Cream Sandwich came out, and
they just stopped.
yeah. I mean, it was one of the most popular launchers a year ago, and they just didn't do anything with it. But thankfully, others stepped up. Like Nova Launcher, which is that's what I use. But it's nice to see them come out of nowhere, a zombie, being revived.
Yeah. We got a question about the rumors of the Google Wallet physical card. Scott, you were talking a lot about that before the show and how useful that'd be for you. Do you think that the rumors are realistic, and how exactly do you think that would work? Yeah,
well, let's add that into our conversation, because I think it is a very big thing that Google's releasing, or rumored to be released. Personally, I believe that Google needs your information in order to serve you better ads. If Google is the middleman for all of your purchases. They get all of your purchases, all of your histories of what you've purchased, and also the location, and if you choose to show where you purchased it. That in return is extremely valuable to Google, and they will use it to serve you better ads as well as serving better Google offers. Now, this is just the beginning of Google actually stepping up to the plate and being a Amazon-like store. People are not going to go to Google now in the future to just search. It'll be more
That's an
so.
interesting thought.
It will be interesting because they will turn more into Amazon and actually be the searching center of the internet, as well as searching and purchasing, and Google will know everything. And I think that hopefully they can serve us better ads and better offers related to where we're at. And I personally use public transit, so the rumor of having public transit cards in there, as well as credit cards, as well as rewards cards, that is awesome in one card.
Well, I definitely like the rumor speculation, or actually, I mean, it was another Android blog site out there ripped apart the APK and saw some interesting information a few weeks back that basically says that you'll be able to send people money from your phone. So if I bet Dan $20 that his kernel won't run on my phone, and he loses, and
I thought that your phone is broken.
he can a la PayPal, but Google Wallet just send me $20. So that's neat. I know I'm going to use that.
Yeah, and another thing that Google was saying is, people don't really find or don't really purchase things on mobile websites. And with their recent rollout of click to purchase with Google Wallet, makes it very simple, and it streamlines it, I think, better than PayPal. And it's just a middleman. It's not like it doesn't hold any of your money. But it's very interesting, and I'm very curious to see what actually gets released and when it gets released.
Yeah.
And I think this is a common answer for anytime Google releases an app that's similar to another app. We're already all embedded in Google's ecosystem, Android's ecosystem, whatever you want to call it. So adding another service to their portfolio that I don't have to go outside them, I mean, that's good for me, in my opinion, because it's easier. Yeah. And it's good for them because they get more of my data. They can give me more ads and make more money, because that's how they make their money with advertising. So I don't know. Some people don't like to put all their eggs in one basket. Some people are Google fanboys and don't care. Yeah. I'm okay with that. So let's talk about a couple more apps that got updated here. This kind of goes into what we'll talk about later, but since we're talking about apps here, let's talk about Google Now, and it received a major update. I'll get into the details later, but Google Now, like I said, that's Android 4.2 coming at you without even having to update your device right now. So if you haven't updated to the latest version of Google Search, which includes Google Now, you should do that. We'll get into that later when we talk about Android 4.2. But if you thought it was cool before, but you thought it was lacking, it needed a few more cards. Well, it got so many more cards, so much more, tighter integration to the knowledge graph, and I love it. It keeps getting better. Google Now it's a platform. It's more than just an app. It's really turning into its own platform. And whenever Google Glasses come out, which is basically going to be a front end for Google Now, it's going to be pretty darn cool. I'm excited for that. But anyways, so let's talk about Nexus devices. So Scott, Sandy didn't let us down completely. Like, Sandy canceled the actual physical event, but Google decided in the middle of nowhere, we're just going to release everything and hope people start to take notice.
Yeah, I don't think it was the best decision, but I do like the slow trickle out. But I would really like to see a live demo to see if the demo gods are good or not. That's always fun, and it's always awesome to see like an hour-long event.
Yeah.
And touting all the features and all that stuff. So I kind of miss that. Hopefully they do an event. That'd be cool. But yeah, the Nexus 4 8 GB version for $299 unlocked, and 16 GB version for $349 unlocked.
That's
Actually,
crazy cheap.
yeah, I actually talked to 2 people that I work with, and they asked me what phone to get. I said, wait. And they're going to be getting those phones. So, I mean, it's definitely a phone I'm going to recommend. One's on T-Mobile and the other's on AT&T, so should be.
Well, no,
cool.
it's the same device. It will work on either T-Mobile or AT&T. Though.
I mean, the people that work with
Oh,
me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
And then the 8 GB version for $199 on a 2-year contract with T-Mobile.
Yeah, but not even with Wi-Fi calling. So really all you're doing is wasting extra money to have a contract.
I agree. Okay, so I know last show we went over a lot of the features and rumored features and all of that stuff. And since then, we've had releases of actual specs of these devices, Nexus 4, Nexus 10, all these devices. So what are the solid features that we know of that weren't released before, that were just rumors?
Well, they confirmed that it's got Corning Gorilla Glass 2 on both the front and the back. So that's a big improvement over, say, other glass-backed phones that were just ordinary glass on the back.
I remember Martius Duarte was asked, is it going to break? Because glass breaks. And he goes, well, we designed it differently. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. We'll do some drop tests maybe.
Oh, yeah.
And figure out if it actually lives up to what they say.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, I think the only thing that we didn't know was the cellular support that it was going to have with it. So the HSPA plus GSM only, no LTE, no CDMA, pentaband 3G, quad band GSM. So that's HSPA plus 42 for T-Mobile and HSPA plus 21 on the rest of the world that doesn't actually have a 42 network anyway. So, but this way they can build just the one device and sell it all over the world.
And I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes because I have a lot of things to say about that. And, you know, it's mainly personal, but I'm sure I'm not the only damn person that cares about it. So, anyway, we'll continue. I'll come back to that in a few minutes.
Yeah,
I know last week.
Oh, go ahead.
Dan, I know last week we talked about processors, and this one, you know, confirmed 1.5 gigahertz quad-core Cray Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro. How does this stack up to currently what's out there?
Well, I think it was Matthias Duarte who said it is the fastest mobile processor on the market in a phone today. He said in a phone today. I don't know how it stacks up against the Exynos 5 that's in the Nexus 10. But realistically, that's the only other chip on the market that competes with it.
Okay. And then wireless charging support, that's
Yep. They
good.
confirmed that, and they have a little sphere to go with it that's a la Palm Pre Touchstone.
You know what? And that's pretty cool.
I think so too, yeah.
I would buy one if...
How much would you buy it for? Because, you know, you got to buy more than one.
What, buy one for work, buy one for home?
Yep, that's what I would do.
Buy one for taking vacations.
If they're $20, $30 or less, which I don't think they're going to be, but
Yeah, they'd have to be $30 or less for me to buy.
yeah, I mean, I would definitely swap up two. That'd be
If they're
awesome.
50, I might buy just one.
Yeah,
I don't care how much it was, I would buy one just because, you know.
$1 million.
Although when Matthias was doing the demo of putting it on there, he said that they were not released hardware devices yet, the wireless charging, because it looked like it was a little cumbersome. But hopefully the final build, they, you know, figure out some stuff with that.
Yeah. I think the only other thing that we didn't know is that it's going to have a barometer like the Galaxy Nexus did, which is an unusual feature for a cell phone. But
Actually,
Yeah.
not. It's not an unusual feature at all. It's very useful to know what
it's
floor.
very useful.
Yeah.
But there aren't a lot of devices that have them.
Very true.
So we use it what, to check the weather, right?
No, it helps determine the altitude, which gives you one of the 3 coordinates that you need to get a GPS lock. And so it's not a sensitive enough barometer to actually do any kind of like weather gauging. So don't buy any crazy spam apps on the market that say otherwise. But it
Unlock
will,
the full potential of your Nexus 4 and Galaxy Nexus. Be able to tell the weather.
it will give very accurate readings of altitude, and that's what it's there for.
Yeah, and it helps with GPS lock
Yep,
on,
it
which
gives you a third of the GPS lock
the
instantaneously.
Samsung Galaxy Nexus needs a lot of the time. So I'm wondering if that's going to be an issue with the LG Nexus. They threw it in there to help it out, or
I assume they threw it in there to help it out. The GPS is built onto the die with the Wi-Fi and the rest of the modems in this case. But moving on, we also had some Nexus 7 news.
Some big ones actually. They sold a hell of a lot of these devices.
No, it wasn't Google that released these statistics. It was actually
Asus. Yeah.
Yeah, so Asus said that they've sold approximately 3 million so far, and that number keeps growing month per month per month. And right now they're very fastly approaching 1 million units per month. Now, compared to the competition, we were talking about that earlier. What's Apple's numbers look like, Dan?
I mean, they sold, what, 19 million iPads last quarter? So, I mean, that's a lot compared to only 3 million in just under a quarter. But there's also more than one tablet maker in the Android world.
And you also have to think about the fact that Apple has more than one tablet. So, they have 4 or 5, now 5 tablets, and all those count for the numbers. So they're still selling, and but Android is definitely catching up with them in a specific tablet that is hitting the floor running, which is nice. We haven't seen many tablets do that from the Android ecosystem, but that's good news.
All right, so we got some price drops on the Nexus 7, the new flavors of the Nexus 7.
Don't you dare call it the new Nexus 7. You know what that sounds like.
You like that, huh? Okay, so the 16 gig version dropped $50. It's now $199. The 8 gigabyte version it's gone. Is it going to come back? Who knows? But as of right now, it's gone. It's not there. The new 32 gig version is selling for what the old 16 gig was at $249. And the unlocked HSPA Plus version only comes in 32 gig, and it's costing you $299, so $300, and you can get a HSPA Plus variant of the Nexus 7. And that's it. I mean, nothing else was announced new about it. Just new storage, new HSPA Plus. None of this is new. We had this leaked all over the place, but now it's just we had pricing, and that's one thing we weren't 100% sure on.
I wonder if they had a 16 gigabyte version with an HSPA Plus radio, how much that would cost.
Well, we know the radio doesn't cost $50. We know that.
I know, but it'd be interesting what they would price it at.
Yeah, I mean, that's just to make money. They're selling the 16 gig version for next to nothing.
Yeah,
it doesn't cost $50 to add another 8 gig of flash memory.
It was $7. I think that iFixit said it cost.
Yeah, so they're just doing it. They're doing it to make money. They're in business to make money. So that's okay.
Somebody had asked earlier for just casual use. Would you recommend the 16 or the 32?
Well, I'll tell you what. I have the 8 gigabyte version, and I swore by it because I have everything that I do in the cloud. All my music I stream from Google Play, videos I'll stream from Google Play or Plex. I don't store anything locally. I really don't. Now, when the game Horn came out, I decided, it was hyped up enough. I don't play that many games, but sure, I'll download it. It was only a couple bucks. I'll play it, and it's a 2 gigabyte game. I have a few other apps on there, not a whole lot. And then an update for Horn came out, and I had 1.5 gig free. I couldn't update Horn, and that kind of annoyed me. I had to uninstall Dead Trigger to update Horn, and then reinstall Dead Trigger, which was pretty much asinine in my opinion. But I had to do it, and I don't really play games. It wasn't a big deal to me because I don't use my Nexus 7 to play games. So I guess my point is that the 16 gig is probably going to be plenty unless you want to store things locally. The 8 gig, I ran into some issues. 16 is probably the sweet spot for the majority of people. If you're storing a lot of stuff locally, 32 gig, and let's go back to the 32 gig Galaxy Nexus that I have. I have like 26 gig free on that thing, and so it all depends what your use case is. Average use, I'd say 16 gig is good to get. You're good to go.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even use all of the 8 that I have on mine.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the big guy, the big brother, the Nexus 10. That screen. We knew it was going to be amazing. We just didn't hear a whole lot about it. So, anyways, Nexus 10. Scott, you want to talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. Well, we got 16 or 32 gigabyte version. 16 gigabyte version for $399. 32 gigabyte for $100 more at $499.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And this is extremely competitively priced.
Oh, it's extremely competitively priced. I would still say, unless you desperately need the extra storage space, don't waste your money on the 32. Right? On the Nexus 7, you go from 16 to 32 for $50 extra. For $100, you get the double storage space and GSM. Why pay an extra $100 just for 16 gigabytes of storage on the Nexus 10?
It's very true. I just can't believe that they hit this price point with this type of tablet. I mean, the screen resolution is ridiculous, and it's better
than the new iPad.
The new iPad. It's definitely now. Some iOS fans out there, are looking at the. Chris Rizzo, I'm talking to you if you're listening and watching. Some iOS fans out there are looking at the Play Store and seeing only like 500 plus ones on the Nexus 10 and thinking, Android fans must not care about it. Well, you know what? We might not plus one all the things, but we're damn excited for this thing. That screen is amazing. It blows your new iPad out of the water. Like this is an amazing device. And coupled with Android 4.2 features, which we'll get into, for multiple user accounts. This is a great device for people that have multiple people in their household that need to use a tablet.
Yeah.
You can't do that on iPad.
All of that, and you get an Exynos 5, which I would say is probably as good or better than the A6X in the new iPad. Better screen, plus Gorilla Glass 2, plus a better front-facing camera, plus a better operating system.
All right, so if you're getting the Nexus 10, let us know. Let us know in the comments. It'd be interesting to see how many of you are interested in getting one. And then let me know if you already have a Nexus 7. If you're looking to get rid of the Nexus 7, or you don't have one yet. What are you looking to buy one to replace something else? And what are you replacing it with? Let us know.
I'd be curious to ask. What are your thoughts? I mean, we all have Nexus 7s, and
okay, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Nexus 10 if you have a Nexus 7 tablet?
Yeah, so I rock the Nexus 7. I use this thing every day. And why do I use it every day? Because it's ultra portable. I mean, the 7-inch form factor is my favorite thing about it. It's light. It's it's been coined that the only tablet that's that has throwability, which I don't throw my Nexus 7, but you could chuck it in the bed, chuck it on the couch. It's not going to break. I dropped mine accidentally about a week after I had it right on its face. I wasn't happy until I picked it up and saw it was okay, and then I rejoiced. But I was. But anyways, it's light, it's easy to hold, and with a 10-inch tablet, which I had before, you're laying there in bed, you're sitting on the couch, you're sitting in a chair, you're holding it, like you hold it like this for a while, right? And you're like, oh, okay, now this hand hurts. Then you hold it in this hand for a little bit. Then you change, now maybe you're laying on your side this way, And if you're just listening, I'm basically moving around, so you don't know what I'm doing right now.
So
you understand what I'm saying, though. With a 10-inch tablet, you after 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, whatever, you're going to change positions. It gets heavy. It's awkward. I never have to do that. I don't have to sit there and roll over or sit a different way with my Nexus 7. It's light, it's easy, it fits in my hand. I love it. I'm not getting the Nexus 10, even though it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I would get it if I didn't have another tablet, but I don't need it, so I'm not going to get it.
Yeah, I mean, my Nexus 7 did not replace my Transformer Prime. They had different use cases, and I still use the Transformer Prime, but I don't need to replace it. And that's what's holding me back from the Nexus 10 is the Prime's still a great tablet, and I don't need to get rid of it for any reason. Unless somebody wants to buy one for $400, in which case.
Okay, now let's say a person that does not have a tablet and is looking at the tablet market. Would you recommend the Nexus 10?
Definitely.
I'm going to say it all depends on what cost of. There's money difference, there's $200 difference, $100 difference, depending on what version you're going for. So yeah, money plays a factor in that. If you can afford $200 and that's all you can get, and that's all you can afford, obviously get what you can afford. If your budget's a little bit more, get the big guy. Get the thing that's going to blow everything away.
If you're in the market for a premium tablet, a premium full-size tablet, I would definitely give the Nexus 10 a very long look.
Very true.
So earlier we said the Nexus 4 was GSM only, being only sold through the Play Store. Well, that's not entirely true. O2 is going to have an exclusive in the UK, and T-Mobile's selling it for $200 on a 2-year contract. So it's not entirely true, but I'm sure it's majority is only sold by Google. So Google, we know, wants to have it to be used anywhere in the world, have it be unlocked, have anybody be able to use it. So it's GSM, because GSM is pretty much available anywhere, unless you live in certain places of the world, such as Huntington, Pennsylvania. So this is a personal rant, but I know I'm not alone in this. I know a lot of people were upset that the Nexus 4 doesn't have LTE, and I'm really not concerned about LTE. I mean, I don't really care about that. It's more along the lines of CDMA, but Verizon's not going to put out a CDMA-only device, so that's a moot point. So I want this phone because the build quality is absolutely amazing. It's setting the bar for other manufacturers. It has amazing hardware, and I'm a Android fanboy. Of course, I'm going to want it, even if it didn't have amazing specs and hardware. And I mean, the build quality is so much better than the Galaxy Nexus. It's rock solid. I mean, it is a nice device, so I want it, and I can't have it simply for the fact that Verizon is my best choice, my best service provider, my best carrier, and people don't really understand that, and I think it's that way from what I've been I wouldn't say researching, I'll say more along the lines of bitching the past couple of days, and people comment every once in a while saying, oh, me too, but most people just don't understand, saying, how can you not have good GSM service? I was like, well, I live in the middle of nowhere, and Verizon has amazing 3G coverage here. I got to drive 20 minutes in 3 different directions to get LTE, but still, I can drive 20 minutes one way and get LTE, 25 minutes another way and get LTE, and I have 3G coverage everywhere I want to go here. I do not have that with AT&T, or I don't even have T-Mobile here, but T-Mobile will piggyback off of AT&T's towers here. So what does AT&T have? Well, AT&T has the awesome Edge network running at 2G. I barely have that at my house. I'm actually trying to test that now, but that's another topic. So how can Google alienate 112 million subscribers? People argue saying that it's going to cost money, you got to test, you got to put it on another device, and I understand that. I really do. But my whole argument all along was Google can't let their largest competitor, the iPhone, run unchecked on the largest, barely largest, the largest network in the United States, and for business, that's how I'm confused. And plus the fact that I don't have GSM service here pisses me off because I want this phone, and I've been trying to figure out for 2 days now how I can talk myself into living with horrible service just to get it. And through some help earlier today, I decided that I can't do it. But I would love to do it, but I can't.
So I think that there are a couple main points. The first one, I think, is Google needs to take power away from the carriers. For example, Verizon, because Verizon decides, like we all learned with the Galaxy Nexus on Verizon, they decide when to update the device.
Okay, so hold that thought before you go on to the next point. My rebuttal, we're going to do this like a debate. My rebuttal on that is the average user, people that basically aren't watching this show, don't care about updates. Don't care when they get them. Just the fact that they actually get them. And most people don't even know that there's an update available, in my opinion.
That's the part that you're missing, though. With this device, Google doesn't care if those people don't get to buy the device.
Okay, so Dan, the Galaxy
That's not
Nexus,
their target market.
The Galaxy Nexus received updates faster than any other phone to Jelly Bean. On the Verizon variant did. No other phone had Jelly Bean before it did.
I'm pretty sure no other phone has Jelly Bean at all on Verizon.
I bet you Google was breathing down
it
their
still
neck.
got Jelly Bean faster than any other device.
And still 3 months after it got Jelly Bean on every other carrier.
Okay, so that was my first point, the fact that they need to take power away from the carriers. And I think that's rightfully so.
I mean,
I agree with
not
that.
just-
I do.
It's not just in the parts that the consumers see, like these things with the Galaxy Nexus. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we don't see. The manufacturers have to pay the carriers to carry the devices. That makes the devices more expensive. That's how you can sell an unlocked phone for $300.
Yeah,
And you know what? As a side thought on that, how can you sell that an unlocked phone for $300? Well, as I said earlier when I was ranting, that I've been trying to figure out if I can get this phone. So I went into my local AT&T rep, very nice guy. I've known him for many, many, many years. I told him the phone I wanted. He had never heard of it, and I told him that it was going to cost $300, and his very next response was, "Oh, well, that's probably not going to be that good of a phone if it only costs $300 without a contract." I mean, our best phone, the S3, costs $600 without a contract, so that phone's probably junk. Why do you want a junk phone? And I was like, see, that's where the problem lies. Obviously, carriers are doing something if they can sell a phone for double the cost.
Well,
You know?
the big asterisk on that is AT&T is not going to sell you an unlocked anything.
Yeah,
They're going to sell you an off-contract, but still definitely locked to AT&T
yeah.
device.
and
It's not an unlocked device that you can just pop in whatever SIM card you want. It'll work on AT&T, and that's it.
No, I understand that, but I just thought it was funny that how a carrier said, well, the device costs $300, so it's obviously junk, and that's not the case. So I understand what Google's doing and why Google needs to do it.
let me move on to my second point.
Yeah. So your second point here. Sorry, Scott. Go on.
Okay, so second point, when the Nexus line started and has continued, the ultimate goal was to make it open and to make it very open and pure Google. And with Verizon, and again, it's taking power away from carriers, but it can't be truly open if some carrier decides when to push an update. So they're trying to hold true to the actual pure Google experience, I believe.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that Google is going to tell you, well, if you really want AT&T's LTE or Sprint's LTE or Sprint's CDMA, you should get the LG Optimus G. Just like when they had the Nexus 1, they said...
And the HTC Incredible. Oh,
Exactly.
wait, Verizon's not going to have the Nexus 1?
That's a complaint
Go buy
that
the
you should have
HTC
for
Incredible. And
Verizon.
you know what? And I did buy the HTC Incredible.
Yep, but this is a complaint you should have for Verizon. Why isn't Verizon picking up the Optimus G?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to get the Galaxy Nexus. You know, I'll tell you, the day AOSP 4.2 is released, maybe 2 days. You know, I'll give. I'm not going to put any pressure on anybody. Some amazing developers out there are going to have a ROM up for the Galaxy Nexus on Verizon, and I'm going to be running 4.2 the next day. So
Ditto.
I personally don't care. I just wanted a better quality phone. But the Galaxy Nexus is still a great phone. I will continue to rock it until AT&T says, hey, we ran fiber lines in your area 2 years ago. Before they rot, we're actually going to do something with them. And they put up HSPA+. You know, until then, I'm just going to either that or I'm moving. Where's a good place in the country to move?
Kansas City, apparently.
Kansas City. They have HSPA Plus. They have Google Fiber.
Fiber. They probably have some LTE too.
They have Mike Ciril's out there. I mean, there's all sorts.
And one more point that I think that they did it for, when Verizon got a bad rap for slow updates, and you saw that all over the news. You're saying, well, okay, would you recommend this device? Well, what carrier are you on? You're on Verizon? Well, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it that much just because of the slow updates. But the thing is, that plays a big part into public view of the phone and the carrier. If the phone is on Verizon, it is going to get slower updates. And that deters people. They don't really care that much about the updates because they just don't know about them. But the thing is, when they hear that, and they hear that they're going to be getting less updates and less features, then it really does affect their mental state, and I really do think that's true.
All right, so
yeah, and also
another personal example here. My dad has the Galaxy Nexus. He got it whenever Best Buy had it for free for the 2-year contract. I told him he should get it because he needed a new phone. So he got it, and the Jelly Bean update came out, and due to, in my opinion, it running IMM76Q, he couldn't install the Jelly Bean update because apparently the MMS.APK was corrupt on the stock ROM, and every time it tried to install the update, it failed. I actually had to unlock the bootloader, flash the Jelly Bean factory images, and then give it. But anyway, that's not my point. My point is that he ran it for almost a month without the Jelly Bean update, and he didn't care. His phone worked. He used his phone. He didn't care that, every once in a while he did say to me, hey, when am I going to get that thing that's better than Siri? And I said, all right, well, I'll come up and do it one of these days. But the only reason he knew about that is because as soon as the day I got it, I said, Dad, you got to check this out. I showed him. So he didn't care.
But the thing is he wanted it.
Yeah, because I told him about it.
No, but the thing is, we always talk about it, so people around us are always going to want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guarantee you, I just did it too, a week ago. If I wouldn't have done it 6 months from now, he'd be like, yep, still using my phone, still browsing the internet on it, still using apps, still making phone calls. It still works.
That doesn't mean that he's getting the best possible experience out of that device, and it doesn't mean that he doesn't know that it could be better.
Yeah.
My whole thought process is that, unfortunately, the average end user doesn't care. They just want it to work. And
Okay.
If it's not broken, then why not? Then they don't want it fixed.
Agreed. Let's move on because we have a lot of 4.2 stuff to talk about, and I'm excited about a lot of it. So let's start off with the released features. Let's start off with multi-user accounts. Excited about that?
For tablets only.
For tablets only, and that's great. Tablets are more of a multi-user, a family computer. Let's say, you have mom, dad, kids, whatever. Have a tablet. You're really going to buy a tablet for everybody in your family? Yeah, some people do, but not everybody can do that. That's expensive. So now you have think of it as a couch. Or a coffee table tablet. It just sits on the coffee table. Whoever sits down at the couch can pick it up and do whatever and have access to their own personal stuff. I mean,
I think it's going to be great for tablets.
Yeah. I think it's going to be good for families, people with kids, right? Like, I know, Derek, you gave your extra tablet to your kids, but before that, you were sharing it.
And I'll tell you what, for the longest time, I still stayed signed into my Google account on that tablet until he started G-talking like friends and by accident, and doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, I disabled that he couldn't buy apps, but it was a pain to do all this stuff. And then I was like, well, I don't want to stay signed into this tablet, under my account. I want him to have his own account, so.
Okay, so we got a lot to talk about.
It's going to be great for families.
Okay, so next, gesture keyboard. I've been using this for the past couple days. I really like it because I don't have to change my keyboard in order to use it.
Nice.
Very nice. So you can type like a regular keyboard, and then you can use, the gesture typing whenever you please. And I really like that.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of swipe.
I'm not either, but the thing is, if you got a really long word, it's actually kind of handy. And the biggest thing for me is you don't have to switch keyboards in input.
Yeah, and you know what? It's generally the predictive text on it isn't that bad. I've been using it off and on, and I like the fact that I can use it or not use it without having to switch a different keyboard. Now I know swipe you can type without actually swiping, but I don't like the swipe keyboard for typing though.
Okay, so next we got lock screen widgets. I'm excited about some of it. I mean,
I really don't know the full implementation of it. I mean, we didn't get a full demo event because of Hurricane Sandy. So right now, various places around the web are starting to get these devices and play with them and starting to release information. But really, the only thing we know so far is you can put lock screens on, or sorry, you can put widgets on your lock screen.
Do you want to put some lock screens on your lock screens?
so you can put a calendar on your lock screen, right? So you swipe to the left or swipe to the right, and there's your calendar. But
I think it'll be cool, and I kind of want to see how it's going to be implemented to judge it for what it is. But I'm excited about it.
Like I don't want someone to see my personal calendar.
Yeah, but other people may. Like me,
I'm
I really
curious
wouldn't
about
care.
the implementation of it. Definitely,
Yeah.
It's something I want to use, but I want to know how it's implemented. For privacy, for people that What if I say we don't get into that.
All right, next we got Daydream. It's basically kind of like a screensaver for your phone. Things like photos, slideshows, news headlines, and really anything that just aggregates into a screensaver.
So if you dock your phone or you dock your tablet when it's not in use, which some people do, is like a desk clock, or if you're sitting there because it's angled right on the wireless charger. If it's on the little half orb charger, it's kind of angled up and sitting there. So while it's charging, maybe the screen's on, and you want it to be a screensaver. It's going to flow news headlines of your photos. I think that's cool. I'd use it.
I think it's interesting. Use it. And then it also has wireless display support for Miracast. Basically, with Miracast, you can a lot of the TVs and all of the TVs that LG is releasing in 2013 are all going to have support for them, which is really big. And I think that them making the device really gets them ready for their ecosystem. But basically what Miracast is you can stream audio, video directly from your device to any TV that supports it. And also, once connected, the TV will mirror everything happening on your phone or tablet. So I think that's a great standard that is being implemented. And it has something to compete with AirPlay, right?
Yeah. So we had I'm sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
Next, we got quick settings. They're basically tiles. The quick settings, from what I've seen, I am a fan of the quick settings. And from any screen, you can swipe down 2 fingers and get your quick settings there right away, which is nice. But the fact that the tiles for the settings are so big kind of frustrates me. You guys know the big tiles?
Yeah, I don't like that it takes up the entire screen.
I don't either. Okay.
So let's talk about some 4.2 features that you can get right now. There's an updated camera,
which is pretty fun to use.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So there's a new camera UI, a new function of the camera called Photosphere, and there's better filters and editing has changed a little bit, and there's a new gallery. And the biggest thing there is the camera UI change. Like you can control all of the different settings, like your flash, your all sorts of camera settings.
All of the camera settings, yeah.
From actually just the touch of a button. So you push in on the button, you hold, or you push in on the screen, you hold it in, a little ring pops up, and you swipe left, right, up, down, A, B, select, start, whichever direction, and you can do it all from there. You don't have to do it with 2 fingers. You don't have to do it with 2 hands. It's cool.
Through menus.
Yeah, I like it. I definitely like it. It's just, so the big feature, new UI, new gallery. The big new feature is Photosphere, which basically mimics what we've seen in Street View for Google Maps, where you hold your camera up, you take a picture, and you keep moving all around in a 360-degree pattern, taking all your pictures, and it then meshes everything together in an awesome sphere. Or you can do 180 degrees if you want. You don't have to do a full circle. But anyways, it meshes everything together in this awesome 3D orb of a picture that you can then view on your phone. You can post it on Google Plus. You can post it onto Maps, actually. So if you're on vacation somewhere, and you took an awesome scene, there's some beautiful scenery. You took an awesome photo. You can post it there, so other people can then view it because the photos are geotagged. So it's very cool. It's fun.
I tried sharing it from mobile to Google Plus, and it wouldn't allow me to.
And you are bad, sir, because I've shared a couple.
Really?
Yeah,
I've seen a bunch of people share it.
Well, we'll talk about it. There's been a couple iterations of this. It was first released. It was, hey, look, new camera, new UI. Oh my God, everybody installed it. Oh, wait a second, Photosphere doesn't work. So then the guys went back to work again and released a couple libs that you had to put in your system lib directory. And then, hey, look, Photosphere works. Oh my God, Photosphere works. And then you couldn't edit photos and
view them.
And that was fixed. And the last thing added view, so you can actually view the Photosphere pictures mobile. You don't actually have to post them to Google Plus or Maps and to view them. So if you were you jumped on it yesterday morning maybe, the first thing, there's a couple updates throughout the day, and then late last night, I believe at like 10 o'clock or so, a final version came out which fixes everything. So you can find them various places around the internet. Android Central actually released the majority of those on their forums. So thanks, Dylan, for all of your work. We appreciate it. Another feature is 4.2 available now. We've been using it for a while now. Gmail 4.2 was leaked a while ago, which has zoom and swipe to delete. Gesture keyboard, actually, which we were just talking about earlier, that the keyboard works. It was leaked. You can go and install it if you're rooted. Install it on your device and go ahead and rock gestures. If you don't like swipe, you can try gesture keyboard. It's not bad. I like it, as I said. And lastly, the new Google Now / Google Search, that is available from the Play Store. You don't have to worry about leaks to get that. You can just download it and slap it on your phone. It's awesome. So I said earlier it added a whole bunch of new cards, right? So it adds a pedometer, which we didn't know about until last night, until midnight. You look at your phone, hey, November 1st, a new month. Well, what's this telling me how many miles I've walked or biked over the last 2 months? It was interesting. So Google Now can tell you need to exercise, which is cool. As well as stock your portfolio. So if you use Google Finance and you have stock tickers in there, they're automatically pulled over now. Anytime there's a 1% change, it's going to show you. News updates. So earlier in the week, whenever I live in the area where Hurricane Sandy was coming through, so I saw news headlines about Hurricane Sandy in there. Photos nearby, so if you're out and about somewhere and somebody has posted photos online, maybe on Maps or so forth, you'll be able to see those. Concerts, and Google will tell you when your birthday is if you didn't know, which that's another mini rant and run out of time, so I won't go too far into that. Basically, Google already tells us when our friends' birthdays are by going to google.com, and through Google Plus, it says, hey, these are your friends' birthdays, tell them happy birthday. Google already knows when our friends' birthdays are. Why can't we have that feature as a card? And then you can configure which circles should show up. That's my opinion. And last, Gmail is now part of the knowledge graph. It's been rolling out for a while, so if you enable
I'm excited about the Google Now features.
Yeah.
The pedometer is pretty cool. Hey, how many miles did you guys walk last month?
1.
What might say 16, 10, I don't remember. All right, so you guys
I walked 26, just to let you guys know.
Right, so Gmail knowledge graph, so it'll tell you when packages, it'll read your email, and anytime you get from Amazon, you ship a package somewhere, and it'll say, hey, here's the tracking number. Well, now Google Now reads that, it scans that, and then tells you where your package is at, when it's been delivered and picked up, and so forth. Flights, hotels is now pulled from Gmail. Concerts, event bookings, things like that, restaurant bookings. And so anything that comes into any type of event that comes into an email now, Google's scanning it and going to show it irrelevant. Check various places online. You can get a little bit of 4.2 right now without having to wait for it to come out here in about 2 weeks. So Dan, let's talk about patents.
So yeah, there's been some interesting developments this week in the patent wars. Apple, as we know, was ordered to apologize to Samsung for lying about accusing them of copying the iPad with the Tab 10.1. They put up a pretty snarky response on some very tiny little link in their footnote on their homepage, which the judges in the UK were very displeased with. They basically said the things in the statement are not true in the first place, and even if they were, the way in which they're presented doesn't comply with the order. And they ordered Apple to change it, to which Apple responded, insisting that they were going to need 14 days to do so. The judges pretty much laughed in their faces and gave them 48 hours. So by Saturday morning, they will need to have changed that notice and more prominently displayed it on their homepage. In more bad news for Apple, they lost their request for a preliminary injunction against Amazon for the use of the term App Store. So they've been suing Amazon for infringement on the App Store trademark. Amazon's more or less responded by saying App Store is a general term, like grocery store, which is pretty obvious. And that's pretty much what the judge agreed with, and really, really just did not take seriously any of Apple's arguments at all. And then in more really bad news for Apple, they sued Mexican telecommunication company iPhone, that's iPhone, for trademark infringement on their iPhone product. The problem with that is they developed and trademarked the iPhone in 2009, and iPhone, the company, has existed in Mexico as a trademarked entity since 2003.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, so Apple quickly got countersued and predictably is losing all of this everywhere, including they are now going to lose the iPhone trademark in Mexico and potentially have to pay restitution, so like 40% of the profit of every iPhone sold in Mexico ever. So bad news for Apple all around on the patent front.
And that's just great.
Yes, it really, really is. I mean, their argument in the Amazon case, it's actually two different claims. One is an infringement, and then the other is a false advertisement claim, where basically their claim boils down to Apple's App Store is such an unbelievably amazing product that anybody else even using the term App Store to describe something that isn't our App Store tarnishes the awesomeness that is Apple's App Store.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have any questions from the audience? Any comments that people want to discuss? I'd like to hear your thoughts if you're going to get the Nexus 4 or any new Nexus devices.
I'm not getting the Nexus 4.
You still need to do more testing on your coverage issues.
Yeah, this Inspire 4G is
It's broken. You can't blame the carrier for your broken phone.
Well, you know what? I get what I can get. My coworker gave this to me to test out the network. I rooted it, I ROMed it, and it still reboots every time it connects to AT&T.
You hacked it with some not that device hack kit.
No, it's for that device. What are you talking
It's
about?
not.
Yes, whatever. We'll fight about this all later. The hack kit was for the DHD
Yes.
and then it was ported over to the Inspire because it's the same.
Oh, this sounds brilliant. Let's port a hack
You know what, Dan?
that hacks in a custom HBoot.
You're just upset because you don't have a kernel for this phone anymore.
I do have a kernel for that device. Both of
Okay,
them.
so for everybody watching, we can be found on YouTube. We also do have integration to see all the comments from YouTube and Google+, which wherever you want to comment, we will see it. So comment away. Questions, comments, whatever you have. And then if you go to AndroidAuthority.com, if you scroll down to the bottom right, you'll see a section called On Air. That's where we post all of our shows and all of our articles, which we talk about. Also, we post our show to SoundCloud, so you can download our podcast if you want to look at us or use the bandwidth. We're also on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and like I said before, the RSS feed of the On Air is available for your listening/viewing pleasure.
Slash.
You
don't have to do both, but we don't mind.
No, you don't have to do both at all.
Okay, so everybody have a good night, and hopefully in 2 weeks from now we'll be saying how AOSP 4.2 has been released, the Nexus 4 is available for order, the Nexus 7 is available for order, Nexus 10 is available for order, and we'll find out how many of you guys are gonna start ordering those devices. Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend, guys.